Joining me now is Tom Fitton. He is president of Judicial Watch. And Tom, what did you think of Page's testimony? I bet you read every page of it.
Well, I've read as much as I could before the show tonight, David, but I can tell you it just confirms that you had these key FBI officials who were bending over backwards to protect Hillary Clinton by having this cramped view of the law and only investigating her for the mishandling of classified information, and confirming all of those text messages meant what they said. When they said they didn't like Donald Trump, they meant it. When they said they had an insurance policy, they meant the Russia investigation. When they said he was a menace, they actually thought he was a menace. But Lisa Page would say, well, just because we believe that didn't mean that it impacted our handling of the Russia investigation targeting him. Yeah. I don't think anyone really believes that, and it shows that the Russia investigation has been irredeemably compromised and needs to be shut down because Mueller relied on these two to get him up and running, and then for 4 months hid the fact that they had to be removed from his investigation because of this anti-Trump bias.
Well, I would argue with you.
Remarkable testimony.
I would argue with you on one point. I don't think the Russia investigation deserves to be shut down because we haven't come to a conclusion as to what happened between Fusion GPS, Hillary's campaign, and Russian intel. We know that Fusion GPS was using Russian intel. That's how they got the dossier together. We know that Hillary's campaign was paying Fusion GPS. I mean, if you're looking for any evidence of collusion, there you go.
Well, you're right. And, of course, the Russia investigation means Mueller's illicit targeting of President Trump over something they know never happened, which is Russia collusion. We've known that since at least the beginning of last year, in 2018. There's no Russia collusion, and there shouldn't have been any appointment to begin with. But he's still operating, and it's just outrageous. And it looks like he's budgeted through September. Question is Mueller's operation ever going to end?
Yeah, well, if it goes on to September. By the way, do you think it is budgeted for another 6 months, or are you expecting a report sooner than that?
I have no reason to believe anything's going to change. Yeah. That the partisans there trying to get Trump and Mueller's operation do not want to shut it down, and they're going to keep it going as long as they can. Okay,
well, Hillary is not in the political picture right now, but Adam Schiff is right in the middle of it.
Are we sure about that?
We're not sure, but we are sure, or we're getting more information about Adam Schiff's connections to this whole group of people that were trying to keep Trump out of the White House and then get Trump out of the White House after the election. And, of course, one of those people is Glenn Simpson, who was the founder of Fusion GPS. He and Schiff had met each other and were talking to each other, were they not?
Yeah, they had a tarmac-like meeting out in Aspen, Colorado, shortly before Simpson testified, and shortly before Mr. Schiff went to the mat to protect Fusion GPS from any inquiries, especially into how it was paid. And then on top of that, we found out Schiff had talked to Cohen, and his staff at least had talked to Cohen for at least 10 hours prior to his outrageously false testimony about President Trump. You know, and you know, there's a rule in the House. You can't act in a way to bring discredit upon the House, and we asked the Ethics Committee to investigate whether those communications with Simpson, Fusion GPS, and Cohen, and Lanny Davis, Hillary Clinton's friend, was an issue that deserves ethical attention.
But this is right around the time, was it not, when those FISA warrants were being prepared or at least talked about, and when Fusion GPS was trying to send around the Trump dossier? I mean, I'm wondering if in fact Adam Schiff was a part of that whole procedure.
Well, I think if you look more deeply into Schiff's relationships with Fusion GPS and Glenn Simpson, you're going to find coordination has been going on since the beginning and is continuing. And one of the questions I have, David, is Fusion GPS still working with the Mueller operation, still working with the Democrats in Congress? Are they still using Fusion GPS to dig up dirt on President Trump? And is Mueller still working with Fusion GPS to dig up dirt on President Trump? I'd like to know the answers to that, because we're being told that information about Fusion GPS couldn't be provided because it might impede the Mueller operation. Well, isn't that interesting?
Mm-hmm. You know, mild-mannered Senator Grassley, Chuck Grassley from Iowa, had his sights on Fusion GPS for a while. Is he at least looking into questions about whether or not they're still working behind the scenes?
I hope so. You know, Simpson hasn't been questioned in some time. For instance, he was questioned about what his communications were with the Clinton campaign and her lawyers. that hired him as a, the cutout Mrs. Clinton used to hire him. And she refused to answer those questions. A lot of additional questions need to be asked to Fusion GPS.
Finally, and very quickly, I'm afraid, you guys are suing for information communiques when Rod Rosenstein was a part of the whole justice operation. Is any luck in getting that information, and is it leading you anywhere?
Well, we just sued for information about 10 days in May last year after Comey was fired when he was talking about invoking the 25th Amendment and wearing a wire on the president and then appointing Mueller. So we asked for his communications around those specific days, and the fact that we had to sue for 10 days worth of communication shows you the Justice Department is protecting Rosenstein and this coup attempt against President Trump from being disclosed to the American people.
Circling the wagons.
Amen. Yep.
Tom Fitton, good to see you, Tom. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.